Loona had always felt like she was destined for something greater. Growing up as the scrappy, sharp-tongued hellhound working under Blitzo at IMP, she rarely had time to consider her ambitions beyond the day-to-day chaos of her job. Her life revolved around chaos, contracts, and the occasional snarky remark. But everything changed the day Stolas, the eccentric and regal old demon, approached her with a proposition that would alter her fate. "Loona, my dear," Stolas said one day, his crimson eyes gleaming with mischief, "have you ever considered the art of transformation?" Loona raised an eyebrow, skeptical. "Transformation? What, like becoming a bird or some dumb magic trick?" "Not quite," he chuckled. "I'm talking about something far more impactful. Shrinking magic, to be precise." She scoffed at first, dismissing the idea as one of his many eccentricities. But curiosity got the better of her. Stolas, ever the enigmatic mentor, promised that this power could grant her something extraordinary, something she didn't even know she was searching for. Under his tutelage, Loona began her training. The lessons were rigorous and often frustrating, requiring her to focus her chaotic energy into precise spells. The first few attempts were disasters, leaving her with singed fur and a temper as fiery as her magic. But Stolas remained patient, guiding her with an almost paternal care. Her breakthrough came one stormy night during a particularly intense training session. Stolas had summoned a lesser demon as a practice target. "Concentrate, Loona," he urged. "Picture the essence of your target. Envision their size diminishing under your will." Loona growled, her claws twitching with effort. She focused on the snarling demon in front of her, its glowing eyes glaring back at her with defiance. She could feel her frustration building, a wildfire of emotion threatening to overwhelm her focus. "Stop thinking about the result and focus on the process," Stolas instructed. "It's not about rage, it's about control. Harness your strength, don't let it consume you." Taking a deep breath, Loona steadied herself. She closed her eyes, visualizing the demon's size shrinking. She imagined its form becoming smaller, more fragile, as if the essence of its power was retreating under her command. When she opened her eyes, she growled softly, channeling her energy into a focused beam of magic. The air around her seemed to shimmer as the spell surged forward. The demon yelped in surprise as its body began to contract. Its imposing form shrank rapidly, its growls diminishing to high-pitched squeaks. When the light of the spell faded, what was once a ferocious adversary now fit comfortably in the palm of her claw. Loona's eyes widened in disbelief as she held the tiny creature aloft. A slow grin spread across her face, and she let out a triumphant howl. "Hell yeah," she exclaimed. "Look at you, all pathetic and small. This is amazing." Stolas, watching from the sidelines, gave her an approving nod. "Impressive, Loona. You've taken your first real step into mastering this art." The tiny demon wriggled in her grasp, snarling in its minuscule voice. Loona tilted her head, amused by its defiance. "What's the matter? Can't handle a little humility?" She gave it a toothy grin before turning to Stolas. "So, what do I do with it now? Keep it as a pet?" "That's entirely up to you," Stolas replied, his tone measured. But remember, this power comes with responsibility. How you wield it defines the kind of ruler you might become. Loona considered this, her grin fading slightly. She glanced at the shrunken demon again, pondering her options. Eventually, she decided to spare it, setting it gently on the ground. It scurried away, casting fearful glances back at her. From that day forward, Loona began using her newfound power in her contracts. Shrinking her targets became her signature move, a way to neutralize enemies without a messy fight. Each successful mission bolstered her confidence and honed her skills. Yet, with each use, she discovered something deeper, an exhilarating sense of control and purpose that had been missing from her life. But as she grew more confident, she also discovered an additional use for her power, a symbolic act of domination, one that would soon redefine her destiny. The first time Loona consumed a target, it wasn't planned, but it marked the beginning of her transformation into a true force of nature. The demon she faced had been especially unruly, even after being shrunken to the size of a toy. It taunted her relentlessly, its high-pitched voice grating against her nerves. Irritated beyond reason, she decided to make an example of them. "Do you think size makes you strong?" it sneered, fists shaking in defiance. "You're nothing without your magic." Loona's ears flattened, her patience wearing thin. She held the tiny creature between her claws, her crimson eyes narrowing with frustration. "You've got a big mouth for someone so small," she muttered, her voice dripping with menace. She tilted her head, contemplating the creature's fate. A wicked grin spread across her face as an idea struck her, a way to silence the demon forever and assert her dominance in a manner no one would forget. Slowly, she raised the tiny figure to her mouth, her warm breath washing over it as it squirmed in terror. "You're about to find out just how big I am," she growled. Loona opened her maw wide, revealing sharp teeth and a cavernous throat. The demon's protests turned into frantic squeals as she placed it on her tongue, savoring the taste of its fear. With a deliberate motion, she tilted her head back, feeling the tiny form slide across her tongue and down her throat. The sensation was unlike anything she had experienced, both empowering and surreal. As the demon disappeared into her stomach, Loona felt a rush of energy coursing through her. It was as if she had absorbed not just its body, but its essence. She placed a clawed hand over her stomach, smirking as the sensation faded. "Guess I'm the one with the last word," she muttered, her tail flicking with satisfaction. This act became a turning point for Loona. As she consumed more targets, Loona began to notice how her body adapted. With each successive demon she consumed, her stomach began to adjust to accommodate her growing power. Initially, the size difference between her and the shrunken demons was so vast that a single target barely registered. But as Loona became bolder, consuming several demons at once, her stomach expanded, stretching to house the writhing, squirming masses within. She would feel the pressure increase as her belly swelled, the tightness beneath her fur becoming more noticeable. The demons inside were thrown into chaos, their tiny voices blending into a cacophony of fear and anger as they tumbled over one another in the slippery, sweltering darkness. Her stomach walls stretched and shifted, the muscles contracting rhythmically to churn the contents within. The more demons she devoured, the more her stomach became an imposing force of nature. By the time she had consumed a dozen in one sitting, her midsection was noticeably larger, protruding slightly as if she had eaten a feast. Her body heat rose, and she occasionally felt the demon's desperate movements pressing faintly against her belly's exterior. Loona took a moment to admire her reflection after one particularly large meal. Standing in front of a cracked mirror, she ran a clawed hand over her distended abdomen, a mixture of awe and pride in her expression. "I guess this is what being a goddess feels like," she muttered to herself, smirking. The demon's protests were barely audible now, muffled by the layers of muscle and fur that separated them from the outside world. Inside her stomach, the environment was a surreal, living landscape. The demons experienced the full wrath of her digestive system. The walls pulsed with warmth, their slick surfaces glistening with gastric juices that began to pool around them. The air was thick and humid, making every breath a struggle. Some demons shouted defiantly, while others simply succumbed to the overwhelming conditions, their voices fading into despair. The journey to her stomach was no less harrowing for her prey. Sliding down her throat, they were compressed by the tight, muscular tube of her esophagus, which pushed them inexorably downward. Each swallow was a powerful wave that carried them deeper into her body, the slick walls of her throat leaving no room for resistance. They could hear her heartbeat above them, a rhythmic thrum that only underscored their insignificance compared to her colossal form. Once they arrived in her stomach, they were met with the relentless churn of her digestive process. The acidic environment stung their skin, the liquid bubbling and hissing as it began its work. Loona's body was efficient, and the demons felt the weight of their fate as the process unfolded around them. The act of swallowing wasn't just a display of dominance, it became a transformative experience. Each demon added to her strength, their energy becoming part of her essence. Her stomach, once an ordinary part of her physiology, had become a repository of power, a testament to her growing dominion. Her large stomach lining was capable of holding multiple demons at once, and she felt their energy merge with her own. As she continued her quest, she marveled at the changes in her body and the unshakable confidence that came with her ascension. Each demon's journey down her throat was a harrowing descent, a slick slide through her esophagus that ended in the churning chaos of her stomach. The demons, trapped in her acidic embrace, experienced despair and resignation, their screams muffled by the relentless workings of her body. Loona herself was both exhilarated and introspective about the process. She felt a profound sense of empowerment but also a responsibility. Over time, the ritual of swallowing her targets took on a symbolic meaning. The act wasn't just about eradicating threats, it reinforced her role as a goddess in the making. It was no longer just about power, it was about unity, binding herself to the essence of the world she aimed to govern. As Loona's legend grew, so did her influence. Beings from across realms began to revere her, seeing her not as a ruthless predator but as a benevolent ruler. Her shrinking magic allowed her to control chaos, bringing order to a world that had long been unforgiving. Loona ruled with surprising empathy. She listened to the needs of her subjects, worked tirelessly to create harmony, and ensured that even the smallest among them had a place in her kingdom. Despite her fearsome reputation, she was adored for her fairness and kindness. The act of consuming her targets had evolved into a deeply symbolic ritual. When Loona held a shrunken adversary between her claws, she could feel their fear radiating like a palpable energy. To the targets, the experience was harrowing. They would look up at her enormous form, her fiery red eyes gleaming with an otherworldly light, and see their doom reflected in her grin. "You had your chance to play by the rules," Loona would say, her voice reverberating like thunder to their tiny ears. "Now you're part of something bigger." From their perspective, the journey was a nightmare. As she opened her mouth, they would see the sharp glint of her teeth, the glistening cavern of her maw, and the abyss of her throat beyond. Some screamed, others begged, but all were ultimately powerless as she placed them on her tongue. Her hot breath enveloped them, and they would feel the slick surface of her tongue shifting beneath their tiny bodies. As she swallowed, the descent was overwhelming. Darkness surrounded them as they slid down her throat, the powerful muscles guiding them deeper into her body. For the targets, it was a mix of terror and awe, a surreal realization that they were being consumed by a force far greater than themselves. Some clung to thoughts of defiance, while others surrendered to the inevitability of their fate. For Loona, the act was transformative. She would place a hand over her stomach, feeling the faint struggles of her prey before they were absorbed into her essence. Each target consumed added to her strength, but it also reinforced her sense of purpose. She wasn't merely eliminating threats, she was incorporating their power into her own, becoming a living embodiment of unity and control. One day, while addressing a council of her shrunken subjects, a brave soul spoke up. "Goddess Loona," they said, their voice trembling, "why do you choose to rule us instead of crushing us like your enemies?" Loona paused, her imposing form casting a shadow over the tiny speaker. She crouched down, bringing herself closer to their level. "Because power isn't about destruction," she replied. "It's about creating something better. I don't want to rule through fear, I want to lead with purpose." Her words resonated deeply, solidifying her place as a ruler who was both feared and loved. Over time, her subjects began to see her as a protector rather than a predator. They celebrated her strength, admired her wisdom, and marveled at the balance she brought to their lives. Yet, amidst her growing empire and the adoration of her subjects, Loona felt a void in her heart. She had achieved unparalleled power, but she lacked someone to share it with, someone who could see beyond her strength and into the vulnerable soul beneath. Her longing grew with each passing day, until fate intervened in the form of a tiny human man named Frankie. Loona's journeys often took her to the far corners of her miniature kingdom, where she marveled at the intricacies of the tiny worlds her power had created. On one such visit, she stumbled upon a peculiar village tucked within a grove of towering mushrooms. The village, with its cobblestone streets and tiny wooden homes, bustled with life, yet its energy felt different, more grounded. As she crouched down to observe, her keen eyes caught sight of someone who seemed unlike the others. A tiny human man stood confidently among the villagers, his head tilted upward as he directed a group hauling supplies. Even at his diminutive size, he exuded an air of leadership and calm that piqued her curiosity. Loona cleared her throat, her booming voice quieting the village. "What's going on here?" she asked, her tone softer than usual to avoid frightening them. The villagers scattered, but the man remained rooted in place. He stepped forward, shielding those behind him with an outstretched arm. "We're just going about our day," he said, his voice steady despite her overwhelming presence. "If there's something you need, we'll gladly help, but there's no need for fear." Loona raised an eyebrow, impressed by his composure. "You've got guts, I'll give you that. What's your name?" "Frankie," he replied, bowing slightly. "And who might you be?" The question caught her off guard. Most beings in her kingdom knew her name, yet Frankie's tone wasn't disrespectful, it was genuine curiosity. For reasons she couldn't explain, she decided to stay and talk. Hours passed as they conversed. Frankie told her about his life, his dreams, and how he had found himself in her realm. Unlike others who cowered or sought to flatter her, he spoke with refreshing honesty. He admired her strength, but didn't shy away from offering his own thoughts on ruling a kingdom. "You're powerful, no doubt about that," he said, his voice thoughtful. "But true power isn't just about commanding respect. It's about earning love and trust." Loona found herself captivated. She had always ruled with a mix of fairness and strength, but Frankie's words struck a chord. Here was someone who saw past her fearsome exterior, someone who valued her not just as a goddess, but as a being capable of compassion. Over the next few weeks, Loona returned to the village frequently. Each visit brought her closer to Frankie. She admired his wisdom, his kindness, and the way he interacted with others. His gentle demeanor was a stark contrast to her fiery personality, yet it felt like they complemented each other perfectly. One evening, as the sun set over the horizon, Loona finally admitted to herself what she had been feeling. "You're different, Frankie," she said, her voice uncharacteristically soft. "You make me see things differently, and I like that." Frankie smiled up at her, his gaze unwavering. "And you, Loona, are unlike anyone I've ever known. You're strong, fierce, and kind. It's an honor to know you." Their bond deepened, and soon, Loona brought Frankie to her main palace, a towering structure surrounded by the miniature kingdom she ruled. Her subjects were initially taken aback by the presence of a human, but they quickly saw how he brought out the best in their goddess. Frankie's influence was subtle yet profound. He listened to the concerns of the smallest voices and helped Loona see the value in every individual's perspective. Together, they began to shape a kingdom that was not only powerful but compassionate, a realm where beings of all sizes found a place to thrive. For the first time, Loona felt whole. Frankie's presence filled a void she hadn't realized existed, and their partnership became the foundation of a reign unlike any other. Her fiery determination and his gentle wisdom created a balance that resonated throughout their realm. Loona's subjects, once hesitant, came to adore Frankie. They celebrated their union with festivities that lasted for days, rejoicing in the love story that had brought new life to their kingdom. And as Loona and Frankie stood side by side, watching their subjects dance and cheer, they knew they had found something truly extraordinary, each other. When Loona introduced Frankie to her realm, the reaction was a mix of curiosity and celebration. Word spread quickly about the tiny human who had captured the goddess's heart, and subjects from every corner of her kingdom gathered to witness their ruler's newfound joy. Loona stood tall in her palace courtyard, Frankie perched comfortably on her open palm. Her subjects, a diverse array of tiny beings from all walks of life, looked up in awe. For years, they had seen her as an untouchable force, a divine protector whose power was as boundless as her will. But now, they saw her in a new light, softer, more approachable. "This is Frankie," Loona announced, her voice carrying warmth and pride. "He's not just a man, he's someone who's shown me the value of kindness and the strength of humility. Together, we will continue to build a kingdom where everyone belongs." Frankie waved, his smile nervous but genuine. "I may be small, but I'm honored to stand beside Loona. I promise to do my part to make this realm a better place for all of us." The crowd erupted into cheers, their approval filling the air like a symphony. For the first time, Loona felt something she had rarely experienced: complete acceptance. Over the following months, Frankie's presence brought an unprecedented change to the kingdom. His unique perspective as a human, unburdened by the demonic chaos that had shaped Loona's world, allowed him to connect with the people in ways she hadn't anticipated. He listened to their concerns, mediated disputes, and proposed solutions that balanced practicality with empathy. Loona, inspired by Frankie's approach, found herself softening in her own role. Where she had once relied on strength and authority, she began to embrace collaboration and understanding. Together, they created policies that ensured fairness and equality, setting a new standard for leadership in their realm. Their love blossomed as their partnership deepened. Frankie often marveled at Loona's duality: the fierce protector who could level armies and the tender soul who shared her vulnerabilities only with him. In turn, Loona cherished Frankie's courage and compassion, qualities that reminded her of the strength and gentleness. One evening, as they sat beneath the stars, Loona lounging on the palace balcony while Frankie rested against her fur, she spoke the words that had been lingering in her heart. "You know," she began, her voice uncharacteristically soft, "I never thought I'd find someone like you. Someone who makes me want to be better, not just for myself, but for everyone." Frankie smiled up at her, his eyes filled with affection. "And I never thought I'd end up here, with you. You've shown me a world I never imagined, Loona. I'm lucky to be part of it." Their union became the foundation of an era defined by love and unity. Together, they proved that even the greatest differences could be bridged by understanding and mutual respect. Their subjects, once wary of change, embraced their example and worked together to build a society that thrived on cooperation and compassion. Loona's palace became a beacon of hope, a place where beings of all sizes came to seek guidance and share their stories. And though Loona still carried the weight of her divine power, she no longer bore it alone. In Frankie, she had found her equal, not in size or strength, but in spirit and heart. Together, they ruled not as a goddess and her subject, but as partners united by a love that transcended the boundaries of their worlds. Despite the newfound harmony, ruling an entire realm was no easy task. Loona and Frankie faced challenges that tested their resolve. Some factions doubted Frankie's place by her side, questioning how a human could rule alongside a goddess. Loona, however, stood firm. "Frankie is more than just a human," she declared in a council meeting. "He's my equal. Anyone who doubts him doubts me." Her fiery defense silenced the skeptics, but Frankie knew he had to prove himself. He worked tirelessly, learning the intricacies of their realm, listening to the concerns of its citizens, and offering solutions that showcased his unique perspective. One of the greatest trials came from an external threat, a rogue faction of demons who sought to overthrow Loona's rule. These rebels, embittered by her unorthodox leadership style, launched a coordinated attack on her kingdom. For the first time in years, the realm's peace was shattered. Loona and Frankie faced the challenge head-on. Loona's combat prowess and magical abilities were unmatched, but it was Frankie's strategic mind that turned the tide. He devised a plan to outmaneuver the rebels, using their own tactics against them. Together, they led their forces to victory, restoring order and solidifying their bond as leaders. The victory came at a cost, however. The battle left the realm scarred, and Loona felt the weight of her decisions more heavily than ever. "Sometimes I wonder if I'm doing the right thing," she confided to Frankie one night. He took her paw in his tiny hands. "You're doing what a goddess should, protecting her people. And you don't have to do it alone. We're in this together." His words gave her strength, reminding her that even in the darkest moments, she had someone to lean on. As the realm healed, so did its people's faith in their leaders. The trials they faced only strengthened their unity, proving that love and resilience could overcome even the greatest challenges. Frankie's empathy and ingenuity complemented Loona's strength and charisma, creating a leadership dynamic that earned the respect of even the most doubtful subjects. Years into their rule, the realm celebrated a grand festival in honor of their goddess and her king. The event was a dazzling display of unity and joy, with citizens from every corner coming together to express their gratitude. As the night sky lit up with fireworks, Loona and Frankie stood hand in hand, gazing at the vibrant display. "We've come so far," Frankie said softly. Loona smiled, her eyes shimmering with emotion. "I couldn't have done it without you, Frankie. You're my anchor, my balance, my everything." Their love had become the foundation of their reign, a testament to the power of connection and understanding. Together, they continued to guide their realm with compassion and strength, proving that even the most unlikely pair could create a legacy of greatness.